Welcome to Gate City Chronicles. I'm Kevin Avard, your host, and today I'm joined with Tom Mandra. Welcome to the show, Tom.
Thanks, Kevin. Good to be here.
Tom, you're an avid bicyclist.
Yeah.
And you did a tour in 2012 called the Euro Tour 2012.
Yeah, Euro Tour 2012, I like to call it.
Now, this is a tour that you took on yourself. Why did you take the tour? What started all this?
Well, I started bicycle touring actually in the late 70s, early 80s, and I had ridden across the United States twice. Once from Nogales, Mexico, up to Glacier Park on the Canadian border, and I also rode from Oregon to Rehoboth, Delaware, across the northern United States. And when I got to Rehoboth, it was August, and I felt like, wow, I'm in good shape. I should keep going. Why don't I go to Europe? And things just didn't pan out, and so I didn't do it. And then 30 years later,
Wow.
I'm sitting around in the afternoon, and I said to my wife, and my daughter was there. I said, you know what? I think I'm going to keep going, and I'm going to go to Ireland, and I'm going to ride across Europe now, like I should have, like years ago. And my daughter said, why don't I go with you, Dad? And I couldn't think of a reason why not, so she did. And then we flew to Shannon, Ireland on late June of 2012 and headed off.
Now, did you get sponsors for this, or did you just do it all on your own?
Just on our own, yeah.
And where did you start exactly when you went to?
In Shannon, Ireland. We flew to Shannon, which is over on the west coast of Ireland, not far from Limerick, and flew in there, flew our bikes over there, put them together, did a little bit of sightseeing, rented a car for a couple of days just to get used to the jet lag, and then a couple of days later.
Why did you choose Shannon?
You know what? It sounded like romantic Ireland to me. Shannon, what could be more Irish than that? And when we went on one of our little side trips, we drove up to Galway. And if I would have had it to do over again, I would have started there, because Shannon, I hate to sound bad or whatever, there's really nothing there but an airport. There's not much to do there or anything, where Galway is a lovely little Irish city. So, no, I just picked Shannon because it sounded good.
Now, did you do like a beeline all the way through? Okay, we're going to start point A to point B, or did you take alternate routes through Europe? What did you do?
Originally I was going to ride to Greece, and then I was going to go down through Croatia and Bosnia, and that sounded like maybe politically difficult or whatever, and then Italy started to appeal to me. So I looked at the map of Europe, and I didn't have much experience knowing what I would be getting through or whatever, but I almost, like, if you take a straight line from Shannon to Rome, we didn't go far off that.
Really?
We generally tended to go in that direction. So we rode from Shannon to Dublin, went across the Irish Sea, to the North Sea, to Wales, rode across Wales, England, went over the Channel to France, up to Belgium, Luxembourg, into Switzerland, over the Swiss Alps to Italy, down to Rome, and then we ran out of time, so my daughter came home, and then I rode on down to Sicily, where my father's mother and dad were from.
Interesting. So you obviously had to take some ferries. You know, you go from one point to point B, and then you take the ferry across.
Yeah.
So was Ireland a lot different from, say, Great Britain, or did every place have their own personality to?
Yeah.
So as you're experiencing it, hey, there's an American riding their bike.
There's nothing like bicycle touring for really experiencing a place, because you're going fast enough to get someplace, but you're going slow enough to really see things. And we really saw Ireland, and it was everything I thought it would be, nice and green. We were there in late June. Lots of stone walls and old castles and stuff, and if people watch the video, they'll see the ruins of the abbeys and stuff. And Ireland was a lot like New England, rolly hills and like that. And then Wales was just fantastic, the scenery there.
Now, part of this tour, you did do a documentary, as though there was some type of, like, a 74-minute documentary.
Yeah.
Did obviously the cameras are rolling right off. Did you stop and talk to people along the way in the
Oh my,
documentary?
yeah, yeah. We met such interesting people. And anytime I've toured, whether it's just been a 4-day tour or a ride across country, you're shopping in the stores that people shop in, and you're eating in their restaurants, and so you have this real sense of being there that you don't really get when you go by in a car or even on a train.
Right.
So yeah, when you watch the video, especially in Ireland and England, you see that we really met a lot of people, and there's some stories on there about the people that we met.
Now you
Random.
Yeah, I had asked you before we got on camera. Did you go through a tunnel or did you take the ferry? And you said, of course, you took a ferry, but there were some tunnel events that were kind of interesting.
Yeah, scary tunnels.
You're riding during August in one of the tunnels, and it's bright outside, and all of a sudden
Yeah.
you go through this tunnel.
Yeah, there's no shoulder. The tunnel may be a kilometer to a mile long, maybe even longer. And the drivers can't see real well either because there are some lights in there. If you've gone through I was going through the Lincoln Tunnel in the car a couple of weeks ago with my wife, and I said, imagine riding through this, because that's what it'll be. There's no place to get off the road. People are coming up behind you. And when you're in the tunnel, the sound of the traffic isn't like, you can't tell whether somebody's coming the other direction or coming up from behind you, because it's all just like that, just this roar of traffic. And so I would just ride as fast as I could and get to the other end.
And your daughter was right behind you.
Yeah, but I hit more tunnels after she went home. She left in Rome. Then we had ridden some tunnels earlier, but after the Tess went home from Rome and I'm on my way to Sicily, there were a lot more tunnels then down through the southern Apennine.
Now, in Europe, there were some places that were nice. There were some places that were not so nice. They'd roll down their windows and say, "Hey, nice to see you, American," right?
Yeah, yeah. And we were told this by the couple of people that we stayed with. We stayed with some of these warm showers people that will host you. And,
warm showers.
Warm showers is like couch surfing for bicyclists. If you agree to be a host, then you got access to a database of 16,000 hospitality homes that'll put you up. And we stayed with one in Chatham, England, and that was right on our way from London to Dover. And we were, of course, leaving the British Isles then and going to the continent. And the one warm showers person that we stayed with, Simon, affirmed that the British drivers are very nasty. And he said, when you get to the continent, you're going to have a totally different feeling about people. They're going to have a totally different attitude towards you, and it was true.
Is that a part of the politics, though? They don't like you're in their way. Is it?
Yeah, yeah. I think they're just more frustrated, and you hear about British English bicyclists and all that, and how big cycling is there, but I found that people in Belgium and Luxembourg and Switzerland and northern Italy were a lot friendlier. Like in northern Italy, everybody rode bicycles. You'd see people from 6 to 96 on bicycles.
So they don't have a weight problem over there.
Well, no.
Lots of pasta.
Yeah, lots of pasta, yeah.
Lots of pasta.
And the food that of course, when you're cycling and you're cycle touring, you can eat a good 2 to 3 times as much as you usually do. And I have pictures of food in the video, just like makes your mouth water, some of the food that we had, especially down into Italy. It was incredible. But we did get treated a lot better on the continent. But then in southern Italy, the drivers became very, the rules of the road became very loose.
So they're friendlier, but they're not exactly paying attention.
Yeah,
Right.
the drivers in England were kind of nasty. Not everybody. I'm not trying to generalize people here. I'm talking about
some of your experiences.
Yeah, some of my experiences were that way.
You get that here at home too.
But the drivers in southern Italy, it was like they just didn't care. It was sort of like
free-for-all.
yeah, kind of free for all. And in fact, Tess got hit on the last day before we got into Rome. We were riding out of Civitavecchia, and that was the last morning. She had decided she was going to go home from when we got to Rome, and a lady made a right turn and hit Tess, knocked her off her bike. She went flying over the handlebars and like went into a wall. So Tess is all bruised up, and these people came over and helped us and everything. And she rode the remaining 60 miles, got on her bike and rode the remaining 60 miles into Rome, which was like fantastic. Rome was just like fantastic to ride into.
And go from you had customs. Was that a problem at all?
The only time, I think because of the European Union, a lot of times it was, we didn't even know that we were going from one country to another. When we went from France into Belgium, I'd say, hey, Tess, you see the sign there? It'd almost be like a little sign. You are now in Belgium, and the same way going across the other borders. The places where we had customs was when we took the ferries from, we took a ferry from Dublin over to Wales. That was a long, like, ferry boat ride. And then when we got off in Wales, we had to go through customs. And then when we took the ferry across the channel from Dover over to Calais, France, we went through customs again. But other times it was just straight right across the border.
And when you did the tours in America,
Yeah.
that was 30 years prior to this. So when you're starting out on this tour, you're not exactly in the prime shape that you thought maybe you need to be. And so
No.
you a little more difficult on those rainy days in Europe, or?
Oh yeah, it was rough because we were of course we rode a lot. We left in late June, so we had, you know, it doesn't warm up around here until like April, where you can get off the road and the roads are clean. So we rode in April and May. In the June, I probably had 1,000 miles on the road bike under my belt before we went over there. But you know, you're putting 40 pounds, 35, 40 pounds of baggage on your bike,
Right.
and you're riding up some hills. And Ireland is not flat, and so.
Did it rain a lot in Ireland, or was it just?
It sprinkled here and there. We managed to avoid the occasional rain. In fact, the one story I have on there is we ran into, we were ducking out of the rain on, I think it was like our second or third day on the road. And here we're under an awning of a little restaurant, and there's a guy sitting there at a table not much different than this, having a cup of coffee. And so we just happened, the random meetings are the real exciting things about bicycle touring. And we started talking to him, and he, every 6 weeks or so, his wife is over at this hair salon called Curl Up and Die. And he waits for her and has a cup of coffee, and then when she's over done having her hair done, she comes back over and they have lunch together. So ducking out of the rain in Ireland was one way that one of the many ways that we got to meet local people.
You just stop and just say hey, whatever. Oh,
But
interesting.
the rain was so bad in England that we couldn't ride in it. It just deluged sometimes. And people have said to me, you know, you were in England. Well, of course it rained. Well, it was the rainiest first 2 weeks of July they had in England in over 100 years of keeping records. The Olympics were starting in 2 weeks,
Right.
and they were nervous about the Olympics coming off. Of course, the weather cleared up. But if Tess and I would have waited for it to stop raining, it seemed like we would have never got out of England. So we just rode anyway. But then when we did get to the continent, it got better.
And so how did the relationship with you and your daughter just, how was that? Hey, Dad, you know, can we stop? Was it fun? Was it challenging? Were there moments like where you're getting on each other's nerves?
When we had fun, it was a lot of fun. And when we got on each other's nerves, it was just horrible. And it's not because my daughter and I don't get along. When you put two people together, and look, this is a dad and daughter thing. I'm 65 years. I was 64 or whatever, and she was 22 when we did this. So this is an old guy riding with a young woman, father and daughter thing, and you know, so sometimes
legacy.
you know, and the rain took its toll. we were hoping to camp more, and we had little tents that we would have stayed in separately, but she wound up having to room with me and put up with my snoring, and so, you know, it was sort of the rain and stuff.
So she didn't sleep well.
You're not in a good mood, and the person that is with you is not going to be in a better mood because you're not in a good mood, and then they're not in a good mood, and whatever. But we got over things, and when we did, it was great. We saw so many things.
How long were your days on the bike?
Usually we would ride anywhere from 6 to 8 hours, depending on the weather and the conditions. In England, we had to well, there was one day we couldn't even ride because it rained so hard that somebody had been washed away in a
flash flood.
Yeah, flash flood. We went into this little town, Telford, and they said we could use the internet if we joined the library. So I'm a member of the Telford Library, and so is Tess. And so I just kept looking out the window, and it kept deluging. So when it let up a little bit, we went to a little inn and stayed the night. But there were a lot of days in England we couldn't ride. And my wife and her sister were meeting us somewhere along the way, and I had planned to make it to Basel, Switzerland by the time we met them.
Right.
And we weren't making good time. So
Where
we
are you?
really had to push.
Yeah.
So we wound up like a week behind. I wanted to be in Basel when we met them, but we were in Luxembourg when we met them, which was like another week. And then it was really good to see.
Sure.
It was really good to see my wife and her sister, because they were going to spend 2 weeks with us, and they rented a car, and they would tour castles and wineries during the day, and then we would meet up at night, and then we would take the rental car and go have a nice dinner.
That sounds like a wonderful vacation.
And Tess got the room with Aunt Karen, and I stayed with my wife, so it was a real break. And then we rode while we were with them. We rode to Basel, and then they went home. So we started fresh in Basel to start over the Alps. So now we had all those miles, the weather behind us. The weather was better.
Right.
People
were nicer.
We were in better shape. People were nicer, and when we started up the Alps, and the video's in 3 parts. The first part is from our start to Basel, and then the first part is interesting. We meet a lot of people, but the second part, I like to say, it goes storybook. Switzerland and northern Italy, the scenery was just fantastic.
And people that watched the video said it was like just being there with you.
Yeah. I worked my tail off doing this video. I did it on a Microsoft tool called Photo Story 3, which lets you take your photos, and then you can do zooms and pans.
Right.
You can add background music, all kinds of different background music. So when I'm in Italy, I play Italian music in the background,
Sure.
and same thing with the other ones. And so you can do zooms and pans. You do narration. And so, yeah, I think that you really get the feeling of being there.
So now you're into fitness.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I mean, this
I
is
always
all.
have been,
But now you want to become a trainer.
Yeah.
And you're actually studying with a particular organization.
Yeah.
To become a trainer.
Yeah, the International Sports Sciences Association.
You know, I have a friend of mine. He actually joined one of the local gyms here. He's about 82 years old, and it's one of the gyms I go to. And he said, do you know that older guy over there? Well, he's the one who does all the training. And he says, you look around and none of these people know what they're doing. But John is his name. He actually went to this older guy and he said, can you train me on how to use all the equipment?
Yeah.
And that kind of reminded me of what you're doing too. You're going after training the baby boomers.
Yeah.
And
I figure I'm an older person myself.
Right, and you
I'm
can
a
relate
baby
to 'em.
boomer, and most of the other boomers that I've talked to agree with me that they would rather have another boomer-aged person to train them than have
Some young person.
young person. And they've talked to me about. They said, yeah, I've trained with younger people, and they don't understand me.
Yeah, once you
And
get over that 30, 40 mark, then all of a sudden these certain pains happen, and I don't seem to recover as quickly.
Yeah,
you know?
and injuries don't heal as quick,
Right.
and you can't like take it as maybe fast as the young person. And you know what? The boomer type person, it may not be true of everybody. They don't want to look like the cover of Muscle Fitness magazine or whatever. They want to be able to do their activities of daily living.
Right.
They want to be able to prolong their enjoyment of activities that they do.
Whether it's golf, whether it's fishing.
Cycling or whatever. They want to. Hey, boomers have always been in. Take it from me. We've always been into enjoying life, and
Right.
they want to keep doing it. And part of that's being able to keep yourself healthy and in shape. So the course I'm taking is looks at nutrition. It looks at weight control management. It looks at some weight training, flexibility. And so I'm planning to build up a clientele of people that are interested in working with me. Will I take a younger person?
Sure.
Well, sure. But mostly I'm going to direct myself to people that are boomer age.
Now, will there be a location where you're going to be doing this? Is there a particular gym that you'll be training people at? Or?
No, I'll probably go and work with people that are already in gyms.
Okay.
That people generally, if they need to know how to work the machines or whatever like that, they usually have somebody at the gym to tell you that. In fact, they have trainers at the gym.
Sure.
But the trainers that you go to, unless you pay them extra money, they're not going to go into the nutrition or whatever, into the depth that I would go into.
Mm-hmm.
So, or I would work with people that have their own fitness equipment at home. They bought the fitness equipment. I want to keep in shape. Well, now what I do? So
Right.
I'm gonna work with those. I work with them in their home.
Right.
Some people, in a lot of cases, all you need is some dumbbells or some exercise bands and maybe a fit ball or an exercise bench. So you don't really need that much equipment. So and some people just want to get in a little better shape. So I'd like to work with people mostly in their homes.
Right. Well, that's interesting. I thought that was, you've got the background as far as being in shape. You've done the tours. You know what your body can do, what it can't do, how it heals, and basically as time goes on, the body takes a lot longer to stretch or to recover.
If my daughter was here, she'd tell you I did a lot of suffering.
Did
And I
you?
can tell you I did a lot of suffering.
Right.
We started out in Ireland, and we got in better shape as we went. We got into Switzerland, and we started climbing the Alps. And you see from the video, it was up and up and up. It was up. You would
first
go
gear the
uphill
entire way.
you got in first gear, and I would ride until I couldn't take it anymore. And my body would start to let down, and I'd pull over, and I'd rest a little bit, and I'd get back on the bike, and I'd keep riding until I got to the top of the pass. And then, probably, when we climbed in Switzerland, we climbed pretty much constantly for like 3 days in a row, just to the top of the Alps, up to Goddard Pass. And then it was like this screaming downhill that was like scary, because you're going down 12 to 14% grade with these cars. And it's hard. Here you were trying to get your bike going as fast as you could just to get up the mountain, and now you're trying to slow it down. And so you're trying to keep yourself from going 45, 50 miles an hour, squeezing on
A lot
the
of
brakes.
emotions. A lot of emotions.
Oh,
that you have to deal with,
yeah.
Struggling with.
A lot of highs and lows. The endorphins that would build up. Yeah, I just felt so like on top of things at times. And then I got in such great shape.
Yeah.
We got down out of the Alps, and people had told us Italy was going to be flat. Well, there's this mountain range called the Apennines that go all the way from northern Italy down, all the way down. So we had to climb those the whole way down to Rome, and then I had to deal with them in southern Italy. But by that time, I was in such great shape that it was sort of like bring them on. I mean, I was enjoying the endorphins and the climbs that much that I actually enjoyed the climbs.
So how do people get in touch with you? Do you have a website or a blog or something that if they wanted to find out about your video or your fitness?
A lot of pictures from my tours are on 20eurotour12.blogspot.com. And then as I go into the fitness business, I'll put information on there about how they can get in touch with me so far as fitness goes.
Oh, great.
I'll get a website and that.
Sure. Well, I wish you the best on that. That's next week that you're pretty much done your training on that particular, your fitness training.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I
So-
should be a certified fitness trainer by the next week or so.
So by the time this airs, you'll be an instructor.
Yeah, they can call me up, and if you want to get in shape, you know, if you want to you want to take on your own bike tour, or if people want advice on how to tour or pack their bike up or anything like that, if they watch the video and they have questions, they can get in touch with me.
Wonderful. Well, Tom, I really appreciate you coming on the show.
Oh, thanks, Kevin.
It was
my pleasure.
It was a quick half hour. It was the fastest half hour in a long time. So thanks for coming on the show.
I can't believe how fast it went.
Yeah. Well, until next week, thanks for watching Gate City Chronicles. And that's it for now. Thank you for watching Gate City Chronicles. And we want to thank our sponsor, Aardvark Dean of Clean, the carpet cleaner in Nashua. You can reach him at 603-630-1743. And if you would like some more information about Gate City Chronicles or want to be a guest, contact me at gatecitychronicles@gmail.com. Until next week, thanks for watching.